Hi, everyone. I'm George Farrar, and thank you for joining me on this special broadcast. I want to talk a little bit and talk about where we've been as a society and where we're going. Change. I'm going to throw out some caution, some warnings. I'm going to talk about graph search, I'm going to talk about Facebook. I had yawned at Mark Zuckerberg's announcement about graph search, the new appendage to be hooked into Facebook, which is currently under beta. And found it interesting later this week to have heard that Mark Zuckerberg is a big fundraiser for Governor Chris Christie, a Republican. It's an interesting thought about what's going on. So he's getting politically involved. So I want to talk about the way I see social media, Facebook, Twitter, where we've come from and where we're going. But first I want to start off briefly with the story. I'll tell you a little bit about where I'm approaching this. I was traveling up to North Carolina on Interstate 95, and I live here in Jacksonville, and I was in Georgia. And I stopped off to gas up. And I pulled off from the interstate into the gas station, and I pumped the gas and got to the driveway of the gas station, about ready to turn onto the road. I-95 was right down that road, and the road was clear. I was ready. I'd prepped everything. I was ready to get back on the road, literally back on the road. But for some inexplicable reason, which I cannot understand to this day, this is in approximately 2006, 2007, somewhere around there. But to this day, I can't understand why I sat in that driveway for 30 seconds to a minute. I just sat there. Don't know why. A car during this time goes down the road. And the driveway past where I'm sitting, at that driveway, a car pulls out and slams into that car. I like to think sometimes, and I know for a fact throughout my life, is that I'm able to see things before they happen. Not always, but at critical moments I can. Yes, I've been blindsided, figuratively. I've been blindsided by events, but there are some interesting times in my life where I've seen where things were going, or I had a sense of something. I wasn't, of course, always hooked into social media. You know, people talk these days about people are too into the internet, too into online things, but in 1991, I was really into SimCity. I'd spend hours playing the original SimCity game, and then later on the later versions that were more advanced. Hours and hours and hours. If I wanted knowledge, or I wanted to read, I wanted to really study or think about things, I had to get a ride to the library. When I got older, I would drive there. Now, of course, I rarely have to go to the library. I can get a lot of information online. Do a lot of things online. But you know, talk about being true to your roots. Got a lot of books from the library not that long ago. A book called Future Perfect, which is optimistic about the future. I'll get to that in the future. Who Stole the American Dream, otherwise known as The Way Things Are. I'm getting through that. A really good one called Missing Men. Apparently President Kennedy, John F. Kennedy, had recorded a lot of conversations. I'm right now in this, reading it. Some eerie things in there. Do you know that President Kennedy, before he died, had a 70% approval rating? and he was complaining that his approval rating had dropped from 76% to 70%. An eerie meeting in the White House between President Kennedy and Martin Luther King in September of 1963, with King essentially warning the president of what did come in regards to race relations. So lots of good stuff in these books. Lots of great stuff online. For a long time I was very big into Facebook. I'm still on Facebook. But of course, I'm really into Twitter now. And of course, I've been a big YouTuber. When I have my cup of coffee and I turn the computer on, I've got business. I've got comedy, I've got ideas, I've got philosophy, I've got news, I've got directives, I've got petitions, I've got articles, I've got ideas being shared, things I don't agree with, some things that I see that are somewhat, can be insulting to things I believe in, that challenge where I'm coming from. And in many ways, unlike what I grew up. Though I would have debates back and forth with my family, and I still do, of course, when I can. But, I'm not going to sit here all YouTube video long talking about the past. We'll talk about the present and the future. The present, where we're at right now, is Facebook making this transition into something different. Here's my first caveat, my first warning to you in this video. If you liked something in 2007 that you may not want people to find out about, you might want to review your likes. I have approximately 350 to 360 likes. I knocked off a good number of likes once I realized where things are going to be going on Facebook. I encourage you to do the same, but be prudent, because not long after I did that, I jumped on and did some more likes. I think that in the future, on Facebook, you should be careful with your likes. We don't know what the entire scope of where things are going. We can't. Can we predict the future? I couldn't have predicted that the Middle East and Egypt would have become what it became. Could I have imagined 15 to 20 years ago that a president in an inauguration would talk about rights for gays? Could I have imagined that in 1991 that I wouldn't have to go to the library to get lots of information? Life without the Postal Service every single day, waiting and waiting. These technological advances that happen, there are consequences. There are people out there that have agendas. They're on there. Now I have my agenda, I guess you could say. I want to spread the word. A lot of people out there want to spread the word. Some people have very good agendas and very positive things to say. Some people want to complain. You can go back into my early videos and you can see where things kind of started out an interesting way and diverted off another way and came back another way. I was big gung-ho, of course, into President Obama and the re-election. I've been following a lot of things here in Jacksonville, and I'm going to continue to do so. I'm going to have more commentary. I'm going to try to have more videos like this. I think that we need to kind of think about when we look at these different things, the ideas and the atmosphere and what is being presented before us. Out there, there's corporate messaging. One person saw a subliminal code put out on the Comedy Central. I've seen subliminal messaging here or there out on cable TV. You see the agenda on the news, on TV. What I'm saying is not always necessarily new, It's just different in its intensity and how it reaches people. So far as Facebook, know your likes. It reminds me of a movie, Airplane 2. There was a lot of spoofs, real slapstick comedy in the early 80s. And my cousin and I, back in the late 80s, used to watch some of those videos. We would laugh and we would laugh. And one of my favorite lines from Airplane 2 was actually William Shatner was actually a commander on a land base on I think it was like the moon or something. And the shuttle was going to land. It was making a joke about a shuttle and it landing and coming in for a real hard landing. And one of the things he's saying, well, evacuate these people, do this, do that. And get me the names of anyone who's seen The Sound of Music over 5 times. And the day may come you can do that on Facebook. I mean, believe it or not, you can actually like a movie more than once. There are different pages. For example, I like 2 or 3 Back to the Future likes. I just like it because I want information on Back to the Future. It was one of my favorite movies. Really enjoyed, still do enjoy Michael J. Fox. It was a groundbreaking movie for me. It opened my mind. It was intense. It was a great movie. But we also have to look at, who you are in relation out there to the world. When all of the demonstrations started in the fall of 2011, and I got involved in Occupy, I quickly pulled down the name of my employer. And the name of my employer is not on my profile. Because maybe I don't want someone to pull up a search that says people who work at Company A who like Back to the Future more than one time. Is that really anyone's business to start drawing strange relationships and quirks without context? Is all this just marketing? I look to the future and I can see where there'll be a lot of positive, but I can see the beginnings of something negative. I've seen lately in the past 2 weeks, almost climaxing with the president's inauguration, some dangerous things that I may not have even seen in the height of the fall of 2011. And I'm going to touch upon this incredibly delicately because Big Zuckerberg is watching. No, I'm not quote unquote paranoid. I don't see conspiracies around every corner. There was horrible shootings happened last year because people just simply go crazy. People go nuts. I think there were some strange things about Building 7. I saw it fall live, and I thought that there was something strange at the time I saw that. But I don't doubt basically what happened, which is the facts. I'm not a truther. In that sense, I read and I study and I find out the truth. I don't have to be told it, and I think for myself. And it's very important to think for yourself, to not be guided upon strange agendas and called up upon in a search engine, a strange search engine that isn't, how can I cook a souffle in 15 minutes for a party? Yes, we want to know more about the people in the world around us, and we're doing that. But there's a dark side to these forces that are coalescing. And I have, over the years that I've been watching YouTube and been on Facebook and been on Twitter, I've seen these things start to slowly come together. And so I would say that I have concern about the way things are going. And I've said that time and time again, but I've talked about in the context of Congress, the economy, weather maybe, I don't know, where we're just generally headed, people being some ways less educated, even as more information is pumped at them. there are people that are not happy with the election. There are people that are not happy with the inauguration and the fact that we're entering the second term for President Obama. And there are people that are just generally not happy because of their station in life. I'm not always happy with my station in life. I do the best that I can. But I won't motivate hate. I won't call for things that are dangerous, that are fundamentally unconstitutional, a crime. Things start out in some ways, can start out very nicely and very neatly. And certain people can make calls for action that sound rather rational. And sometimes things, though, can go off onto the deep end. This is mainly just a warning. Maybe, I don't know, a call out to the wind. I don't know if this video will just simply have 1 view, 50, or 900. Depends on things being at the mercy of how things look, how they go out online. But I know one thing. I'm going to be very careful with my likes. Very careful with things. There are great things that are out there. One example is Occupy Wall Street. People who want to make changes, who want to call attention to the issues. There are other opportunities. Our city of Jacksonville is having a visioning initiative. People downtown want to revitalize downtown, including myself. I put energy and focus into that. The question is, will you get from behind your keyboard, behind the very basics, rudimentary nature of the social media, and whether you even read simply books, and reach out to people, make a difference, make an impact. And while we can't always be protesting in front of City Hall or occupying in front of City Hall, and maybe there isn't the gravitas where I live to do these kinds of things. But at some point, the forces of good, the forces of freedom, true freedom, will have to come together to fight what's coming. Today is January 25th, 2013. This is my warning, generally. Eventually, maybe in time I'll revisit this. Maybe I'll forget about this video. Maybe it will be out there. But these are my concerns. This is where things are going. And I want to invite you to aim for what's positive in social media. Aim to get involved. And you know what? When people preach hate, and when people do insidious things, and when people manipulate or catfish or whatever on earth it is that they do, that is the most vile form of our technology. Stand up to them, call them out, point them out, and get as much knowledge as you can. Think for yourself, and just simply take anything I say and just think about it and take it to the next level. There's a lot going on the left turn in the coming months. We'll be focusing on Jackson, we'll be focusing on national and international too, really trying to get a good focus. So I'll see you on Sunday for the Farrar Report. Every Wednesday midweek update. Specials are coming in time. Give me some time, please, to produce. Take it easy. Let me know what you think. Please consider subscribing. Later.